You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're not missing some secret trait that successful people were born with. You are probably just waiting for the wrong thing. You are waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel motivated, waiting for that perfect moment where your brain suddenly says, right, today is the day. But that moment almost never comes. And when it does come, it usually lasts about 12 minutes. Then your phone buzzes, you get tired, something feels uncomfortable, and suddenly the person who was about to change their entire life is watching random videos at 1 a.m., wondering what happened. That is the trap. You think motivation is supposed to come first, but most of the time, motivation does not create action. Action creates motivation. You do not need motivation to begin. You need to begin badly enough that motivation has something to attach itself to. Think about the thing you keep delaying. You know, the thing sitting in the back of your mind right now. Starting the gym, making the video, applying for the job, cleaning the room, fixing your sleep, studying properly, having the awkward conversation. Whatever it is, you probably did not quit dramatically. You just said, I'll do it later. Then later became tonight. Tonight became tomorrow. Tomorrow became Monday. Monday became next month. And eventually, the thing was not just a task anymore. It became a weight. That is what waiting does. It does not keep the task the same size. It makes the task grow. The longer you avoid something, the more your brain treats it like a threat. The gym becomes proof you are out of shape. The blank page becomes proof you're not creative. The application becomes proof you might be rejected. The messy room becomes proof you have lost control. The unfinished project becomes proof you never follow through. And suddenly doing the thing is not the hard part. Facing yourself is the hard part. That is why waiting for motivation is so sneaky. It sounds productive. It sounds like preparation, but a lot of the time it really means I am waiting until this stops feeling uncomfortable. And that is the problem, because important things usually feel uncomfortable at the start. The first workout feels awkward. The first video feels embarrassing. The first draft feels terrible. The first attempt feels clumsy. The first step almost never feels like a movie scene. It feels small. It feels stupid. It feels like this can't possibly count, but it does count. That is the part most people miss. Sometimes change looks like putting on one shoe. Sometimes it looks like opening a blank document. Sometimes it looks like recording one bad voice note. Sometimes it looks like picking up 5 things from the floor. Sometimes it looks like reading one page. It does not look impressive, but it breaks the pattern. And breaking the pattern is the first real win. Most people think the sequence is feel motivated, take action, make progress. But in real life, it usually works backwards. Take action, make a tiny bit of progress, then motivation starts to appear. Motivation is not the engine. Motivation is the dashboard light that turns on after the engine is already running. Waiting for motivation before starting is like sitting in a parked car, waiting to feel the wind in your hair. You're not going to feel movement until you move. This is where people sabotage themselves. They make the first step too big. I'm going to fix my whole life. I'm going to get in perfect shape. I'm going to upload every day. I'm going to become disciplined. That sounds good, but sometimes a huge goal is just procrastination wearing a fake mustache, because now the goal is so big that starting feels impossible. And if starting feels impossible, you get to delay it while still feeling like you care. So make the first step smaller. No, smaller than that, embarrassingly small. If you want to exercise, the first step is putting on your shoes. If you want to write, the first step is writing one bad sentence. If you want to make videos, the first step is recording the first sentence. If you want to clean your room, the first step is picking up 5 things. If you want to study, the first step is reading 1 page. The point of the first step is not to transform your life. The point is to prove that you can move. Because movement changes the conversation. Before you start, your brain can argue forever. Maybe later. You're too tired. You need a better plan. You should research more. You'll do it properly tomorrow. You're not in the right mood. But once you start, even badly, the argument changes. Now you are no longer a person thinking about the thing. You are a person doing the thing. That difference matters. Because identity is not built by thinking. Identity is built by evidence. You do not become confident by telling yourself you are confident. You become confident by watching yourself act when it would have been easier not to. Every small action becomes a receipt. You said you would do something. Then you did it, even if it was tiny. Especially if it was tiny. Because tiny promises are how you rebuild trust with yourself. Most people do not trust themselves as much as they think. They have made too many promises to themselves and quietly broken them. After enough broken promises, your own goals start to sound like background noise, but that is not permanent. You rebuild self-trust the same way you lost it, one promise at a time, not with a dramatic vow, not by reinventing your personality overnight, not by watching another motivational video and pretending the goosebumps are progress. You rebuild it by choosing one small thing and doing it, then doing it again, then doing it when the mood is not perfect. That is where real change happens. Not in the emotional high, in the boring repeat. Discipline is not waking up every day feeling like a warrior. That is fantasy nonsense. Discipline is doing the next small thing while your brain complains in the background. It is not glamorous. It is not a montage. It is just you doing the thing while part of you would rather not. And that is enough. You do not need to win your whole life today. You just need to win the next 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not scary. 5 minutes does not need a perfect plan. 5 minutes just needs a start. And even if you stop after 5 minutes, you still did something important. You proved that starting was possible. Action gives you information. Avoidance gives you anxiety. Once you clean one corner, you see the next corner. Once you record the first take, you know what sounds wrong. Once you write the first bad sentence, the second one becomes easier. So stop trying to think your way into readiness. You cannot outthink discomfort. You have to act through it and make it easier by designing your environment. If your phone is beside you, glowing like a tiny casino, you will probably check it. If your workspace is a mess, starting will feel heavier. If your goals are hidden in a mental folder called later, later will keep winning. So stop relying on willpower like it is magic. Willpower helps, but design is better. Put the thing in your way. Leave the notebook open. Put the shoes by the door. Move the phone across the room. Block the app. Make the good action obvious. Make the bad action slightly annoying. You are not trying to become a robot. You are trying to stop making the right choice so stupidly hard. And here's the harsh part. You may never feel fully ready. The fear might not disappear before you start. The confidence might not arrive before the attempt. The motivation might not show up before the work. That does not mean you are doing it wrong. That means you are at the beginning. The beginning is supposed to feel messy. The beginning is supposed to feel uncertain. But delay has a cost. Every time you delay, you vote for the person who stays stuck. Every time you start, even badly, you vote for the person who changes. And no single vote transforms everything. But votes compound. A 5-minute start today, another tomorrow. A bad first draft, a short walk, one clean surface, one recorded voiceover, one uncomfortable attempt. That is how a different life is built. Not all at once. Not in a burst of motivation, brick by boring brick. Eventually you realize something strange. You did not become disciplined and then start acting differently. You started acting differently, and that became discipline. You did not wait for confidence. You collected evidence. You did not wait for motivation. You built momentum. That is the whole game. So today, do not make a giant plan. Do not announce a new era. Do not wait until Monday. Pick one thing you have been avoiding, one, then make the first step laughably small. Put on the shoes, write the sentence, start the timer, clear the desk, record the take, send the message, read the page, do the smallest version of the thing before your brain has time to turn it into a debate, because the debate is the trap. The delay is the trap. The fantasy of feeling ready is the trap. Motivation might come later. It might not. Either way, start, because the version of you waiting for motivation is going to keep waiting. And the version of you that starts badly is already ahead. Start before you feel ready. Start before it feels impressive. Start before the mood arrives. Start while it feels awkward, because that tiny first step is not tiny. It is the moment you stop asking your feelings for permission, and that is where everything begins.